Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid-South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the BNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Maniwa, hit the music. Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 33 of Fannin's Flashbacks. It's the podcast nobody asked for, but I decided to give it to you anyway. These are tales from IWA Mid-South during my time there from 1997 to 2009, and we got thrown a hell of a curveball this week when the guest lined up couldn't make it, and despite it being very IWA Mid-South to cancel shows, I didn't want to open up that can of worms and go down that road just yet if we didn't have to. So thank you, Nick Maniwa, for sliding in here, and we pivot to do a first of a kind for this show. We're going to talk about one show, something to prove, sort of like this podcast. We've been having great success so far, but we have to prove that we can sustain it. We have to prove that we can adapt, because I'm eventually going to run out of people to talk to. And so let's see how this goes. We're going to run it out and see if it works. And, you know, will people want to hear about just one show? I hope so, because this is a hell of a one to do. This episode is going to drop on June the 5th. And before the next episode drops after that, we're going to hit the 21st anniversary of Something to Prove. And so it sort of makes it topical. And, you know, we've also got the fact that was talked about. It's going to be on Dark Side of the Ring. They just released the official trailer for the new season. Looks like maybe week 3. I don't know why Jeff Jarrett gets 3 parts. That first week's going to be
Ain't he great?
He's going to get 2 hours the first week, and then he's going to get a 3rd hour that second week. If they go in the order that they were listed when they flashed it up on the screen, Joe Necro will be week 3. So you know, just a month and a half away from that episode airing. So we're gonna do this episode now. So did you get it watched in time?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking a page out of the Mid-South Memories playbook with this one. Mine and Mike Ruff's rewatch series that we do on IWA Mid-South. We thankfully, you know, even with it, having the 20th anniversary, we, missed out on doing the. It's hard for me and Mike to get together in the summertime because he lives in California and obviously I'm in Kentucky. So like the time difference, and he also is a dad and has kids, and it's just a cluster to try to get something together, for the summer recording. So we, thankfully, I guess for this podcast's sake, never got around to it. And, what a crazy time for independent wrestling, and especially for us at that time in IWA Mid-South. June of 2005, so we're coming off the hot, TPI 04. We had a good little fall winter there in 04, and then
we're just a couple of weeks away from War Games.
Right.
So
yeah. Everything in January's hitting on, and it's perfectly like everything's leading up to War Games. Everything's leading up, here comes Schumann at it, and then here comes this guy and this guy and this guy, and just, it was all, like you said, just boom, boom, boom. And it's crazy. I think for people to say, or I guess to realize this, but like IWA, even not running week to week, is still so episodic. And a lot of times independents, especially in that era, were not like that. they, were just matches to have matches, or,
Right.
this guy versus this guy, and, they'd never touched before or whatever. But I mean, if we had an idea or we had some kind of feud, like we saw it play out.
Right.
And even if, not all the players were there, we'd put feud A and feud D in a tag match together to keep
Yep.
it going, or, whatever. And it's like, old wrestling stuff, but people, especially at that point, didn't really think about independent wrestling shows like that. It was just, you know, BS every single show, essentially.
Right. And along those lines, this is 2 years. War Games is 2 years. And I mean, shit, even going really, it went all the way back to 1998 is
Right.
is when but it was a continuation, like full go from 2000, summer of 2003 with like the spirit of 76 or
Yeah.
whatever, kind of thing, like
Yeah, you mentioned that in your
summer of
promo.
2003, yep, into summer of 2005, a steady 2 years
Right.
that this angle's been running for War Games. But what is the show known for? One of
Right.
those that you talked about where the match is just thrown together. No, nothing. I mean, we found a way to sort of give it a little bit,
Right.
but it was just somebody on a message board going, what would happen? What if?
Yep.
And you end up with one of the greatest matches in professional wrestling history. Along again, topical with, we just went through the greatest wrestler ever poll, just
Yes.
finished.
Yes.
Um, you know, Necro Butcher and Samoa Joe both finish in the top 100
Terry Funk
on,
#1, as expected,
right.
at
And
least in my book.
the same people that ran the greatest wrestler ever poll, like last year, they did the greatest match ever
Okay.
poll. And same group of people putting it on, counting the vote, same style where people, and I couldn't find, like, I didn't have time to go back and find, but I know that it was in the top 10 of greatest matches ever,
Right.
was Samoa Joe Necro Butcher. And I think it, because again, they do it like every 10 years or whatever. And like 10 years ago, it was
Yeah.
in top 5, I think. And now it was still in the, 10 years later, it was still in the top 10
Right.
after that. And so just this match thrown together out of nowhere, and it's one of the greatest matches of all time. And you know luckily I went back and rewatched the entire show. First time I've ever rewatched the entire show.
Okay.
I had like several times where people are like, show me something that you were involved in. This was the, Joe Necro was the match,
Yeah.
even though I'm not involved in that
Right.
match. It
Right. Right.
was,
Right.
this is what I did for 12 years. It was on shows just like this, with this kind of match, and, you know, embellishing the truth a little bit because there was nothing
Right.
else like this match. But,
Right. Right.
it's the match that you show people, and like all over the internet, people are, you'll see people post all the time, oh yeah, my friend that doesn't like wrestling or has never watched wrestling, this is the match that I show him to, like, get him to want to watch
Right.
with me,
Right.
kind of deal. And so I'm going to be very interested to see what Dark Side of the Ring does with it. We both knew that Dave Prazak is involved. Um, we'll leave it at that with
Right. Right.
Prazak's involved. They did show Eddie Kingston
Yep.
is going to be on the episode talking about it in the
He did
trailer.
commentary on
He
it,
was
so I
on, he was
mean,
commentary on the match. So, they reached out, and Kingston's involved. Dave Prazak's involved. We saw Samoa Joe
yep.
talk about it and, say someone's going to die tonight. And I thought for sure that as it was going on, I thought for sure that we were going to see somebody
Right.
die. but we'll save some of that talk for the end.
I remember having the VHS tape of it and taking it to like my high school friend's house and being like, "You have to watch this. It is crazy." And
The,
normies, as we call them in the wrestling
yeah,
business, had no idea how to react to not one but two types of slams on the forehead.
right. And and that wasn't the only match that involved something like that.
Right, right.
We're gonna get. I've got a rant to go
Oh,
into
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
at one point with that in a match, but let's first just start off by talking about how we made the trip together
Yes.
to go out to the show. We've talked a little bit, other guests. We've talked about it on our, the episode that I had that was your episode.
Right.
Ian Rotten, not the best travel companion on a road trip.
No.
Um,
I also think he was maybe going up like earlier to go to his parents' house or something. So I think that
his
was
uncles.
okay. Okay.
He was going to Baltimore to
Yeah.
go to his uncles
So I
because
think
his
that was another
family's
reason why
there.
I did not want to. That just came to me now. I did not want to ride with because I didn't want to be in Maryland for fucking 2 days extra or whatever it was.
Right, probably even more than that. Can't
Right.
remember, but the whole thing with Ian is, as soon as the car hit the interstate, he'd be asleep. And then he'd
Right.
sleep the entire fucking time until someone changed the radio station, until someone adjusted the air conditioner,
Slammed on the
until
brakes.
until you had to stop at some point.
Because if you hit the
And
brakes, he's just waking up screaming.
right, yeah, he would wake up in a scream, and it'd be like, just calm the fuck down. The
Right.
car stops, and like you couldn't stop when you wanted to stop. If you had to use the bathroom, tough shit.
Right.
You're not allowed to stop.
Got to get to the town.
Got to get, when it came time to get gas, you would drive for 15 minutes and check every gas station in town to
Right.
see who was the absolute cheapest price, and they're all like 1 cent difference. So
Right.
10 gallons of gas, you're
Try to
saving
find a
10.
Sam's Club, maybe to
You're
pump.
saving
Yeah.
you're saving 10 goddamn cents
Right.
on a tank
And
of gas,
wasting gas
but
driving around.
you're wasting more gas by driving an extra 20 minutes to find that 10-cent cheaper
Right.
tank of gas. And it got to the point where I'm like, fuck this shit.
Right.
I'm the one driving. You're just sleeping.
Yeah.
You don't even have a driver's license. I have to do all this myself. I'm going to stop when I want to stop. I'm going to eat when I want to eat. I'm going to piss when I want to piss. And if I want to change the fucking radio station or adjust the goddamn temperature inside my car, I'm going to do it. And it shouldn't be this like life and death struggle and having to be berated and yelled at and screamed at over it. And so by this point in time of my tenure in IWA, I'm like, I just flat out had to tell, like, you have to find somebody else to take you to these places because it's not going to be me. And he wasn't willing to change his rules. So, we decided that we were going to travel together, and it was awkward little trip because it involved my ex-girlfriend that we had broken up the year before. So I'm not even sure how that came. I can't even remember how that came about. I think you two were still friends.
We were still friends. Were you trying to like woo her or win her back or something? Or
no, because this was full on into my Mickie love at that point.
Okay.
So there was no trying to get back with the other.
Okay.
So I'm not, I was like sitting there going, damn it. I knew that she was on that trip, but I'm like, why? I can't, and your then girlfriend was on the trip. I'm pretty sure that we did go to Baltimore first. Cause I remember I have memories of like maybe like one
Navy
night.
Pier?
Because they have like the harbor there, and
the harbor. Like I think we stayed and then like we stayed an extra day or something. That's
Yeah, because I
like we
vaguely
got.
remembered we got one of those pedal boats and went out into the
Yeah,
water on
yeah,
the
yeah,
pedal
yeah. I was
boats.
looking
And
for the picture, and I think it was on MySpace, and during the
yeah,
MySpace purge, like I lost all those random photos. But
yeah,
I
it
remember,
was kind of a fun trip.
it,
I remember
yeah, yeah.
there was somewhere we went that had like some kind of a penis joke road sign that we had taken a photo of.
Park and ride.
Park and
Park
ride. That,
Park and
yes,
ride these nuts.
yes, we did
I
that. But
think that picture still exists. So for the
okay,
collage, I can I can put that with
yeah,
all the Joe and Necro photos.
yeah. So I mean, we had fun taking it at our own pace
Right.
and doing what we wanted. And if there was some ignorant thing that we wanted to stop and do, we just did it.
Right.
And
Right.
so it was a fun trip,
Yeah, I
a
think we
lot
went to an
more enjoyable.
aquarium, maybe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we
So
went
I
to
mean, yeah,
the aquarium and
we just had a blast. And I'm pretty sure it was after, because it was like no pressure, like we were just like, hanging out, just having fun, not worried about getting to the town or worried about,
right.
so I'm pretty sure like maybe we stayed, the night Saturday and then did shit Sunday and then maybe drove home or something. Uh
Yeah.
but
Too long
yeah,
ago to remember all the
right,
specifics,
right.
but yeah, there I mean it was a fun trip to get out there, and it was definitely cool to be able to do a show in the ECW arena.
Yeah.
I mean, I had been there several times before. I had went two or three ECW fan conventions that I had went
Okay.
to with Les Johns.
Okay.
I think two that we went out for. So the
And they would do a
first
show for those, right? Like,
yeah, so there would be like it would be like a big weekend, and you'd get the travel package and you'd go out there, and there would be a Friday night show somewhere and then
okay.
Saturday at the arena.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
there was I think it was the first time the Friday night was like Plymouth, and
Okay.
there ended up being like Jericho against maybe Too Cold Scorpio,
Oh,
or
wow. Yeah.
Jericho against it was either Jericho against Sabu or it was Jericho against Too Cold Scorpio in like Plymouth.
Yeah.
And then the next night it was
That's like a famous one because it's like the only time Jericho and Sabu like one on one. If it's that match and it
yeah,
was on one of those comps and they'd be like,
right.
Lionheart, Chris Jericho, Sabu, one on one.
Right. And then like the arena show was when Dr. Death,
Oh, cool.
like the doctor is in, or
Yeah,
what
yeah. That's sweet.
was the biggie. And then the second time we went, because I guess they did one in like the summer and they did one in like the winter. And so
Right.
when we went to the one in the winter, the Friday night they bust us up to Queens, New York, and there was a show in Queens, and that was the one where
That's not the
I
Elks Lodge though, is it? Or is
something
it?
like that. Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was like maybe like the Elks Lodge or something. And like I went and sat on the bus because Sandman spit beer on me during his
Oh
entrance.
no.
And I was like, all right, I'm done.
Right.
And then I think like at the arena show, I think they did the Eliminators against Sabu and Van Dam.
Oh, cool.
So I mean, it was fun times.
Yeah.
And then I had taken Ian out there a couple of times for whatever Todd Gordon's Pro Wrestling Unplugged
PWU, yeah.
PWU that came after ECW. I had taken him to a couple of those shows,
Right.
and so I'd been to the arena before, had seen shows, but it's the
First
first
time
and only
performing.
time
Right.
performing at the ECW arenas. I know I didn't go to the second arena show that we
I did
did,
not either. I did
and
not.
yeah, I didn't think you did either. So this was our one time.
Yep. Yep.
Um, were you doing the music, or did you
I
do anything?
I didn't really do anything. I think they asked me to do the music, but I was like, I don't want to mess up. So like, no. So I was just kind of floating around. You can see me during the main event, like on the balcony in a Boz Rule shirt. It's a yellow shirt with red font. So like, no mistake that it's me up there, jumping around, losing my mind. But
along with
yeah,
about 50 other people.
right. But I didn't end up doing anything. If you see me looking down, I have my notes on my phone.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm doing. Anyone watching this on
Yeah.
IWTV, I'm not being a jerk and reading Twitter or something. I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it on the computer next
Right,
to
there
me,
you go.
so I can be looking forward at the notes and at the
There you
camera,
go.
so doing whatever. So yeah, it was a fun time getting out there. It really meant a lot. It was a great turnout. Wished that, it could have been more people, but it's is what it is. You
I mean,
can't
that's
look
the
back at
highest IWA gate, right?
up maybe gate, but the Morris show sold more tickets. There was more people at the
Okay.
Morris show.
Okay.
Um,
Because it does look packed in the arena, as Joe and Necro move around, or people are brawling around, you get a good shot of the crowd, and I was like, man, that's pretty packed in there.
right, yeah, it did have a
There
good
wasn't no
turnout.
XPW show where there's Mike from VA doing jumping jacks on the hard cam because there's nobody there. RIP.
Nice,
But yeah, man,
nice.
I mean, it was a good house for sure. Obviously, there could always be more, but it's the
Yeah,
middle of summer. People they have reasons to not come inside the unair conditioned ECW arena.
right. My God, what like all night on commentary, just everybody just
Right.
like talking
I'm
about how
dying.
I'm dying in here. They renovated this building. You could have put some air conditioning in here,
Right.
but
No way.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, so I had mentioned to you, I don't know if the official, like I've never seen the
I
official
I
release.
I looked it up and it was on the original VHS
Okay,
or
so there was this mini documentary
yep.
on the version that we watched, because this is not available on IWTV. After talking with some people that are in the know, this is one of the many brilliant business ideas of one Ian Rotten was, something to prove was still selling 2 to 3 DVDs a month,
Right.
on a good month. And
Right.
so he didn't want it up on so like, don't put this on IWTV. We're still making money selling
Even
DVDs.
though the main event has been on YouTube for 11 years for free, so
Right. It's been on YouTube, like, and you said what, like 300,000 views
yeah, yeah.
on YouTube, been up for free for 11 years, but we don't want it streaming for just
Right.
anybody to be able to watch that has IWTV. I'm sure he's still living off that, one
Right.
DVD a year that's getting
Yeah.
friggin' sold. But if there was a shitty business decision to be made, he would make it.
Right.
And
And if there wasn't, he would invent
he
one.
would invent one, and I mean, just throughout in like talking, because the person that edit, like, pull back the curtain a little bit. He was on Prophet of Ash, was on an episode here, and talked about his time. He was the one doing all the editing for the IWA shows, and like, he was telling me anything that is like my era of IWA that is available on IWTV was because he snuck it on there and Ian never noticed,
Okay, right on.
you know, and so he would have to like pick and choose and pick a small show, which is
Right.
why it's like so random as to what is actually available. Because no, we want to sell the DVD. Motherfucker,
Right.
you were late getting into the DVD game, and then you were fucking Stone Ages behind
Right.
getting out,
Right. Right.
and I made the comment to you, like, how in the fuck was he able to stay in business as long as he did with all the stupid damn decisions that were made when it came to money?
Right.
And like, it just baffles me that to this day that it was like that. But you know, that's why we're doing this podcast, because there aren't current shows anymore,
Right.
because he's
Decisions.
stuck, and he would make so much fun of Jim Cornette and say how Jim Cornette was stuck in the 1980s.
Right.
and didn't adapt and move into the new world of wrestling. And then he did the exact same fucking thing,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
did the exact same fucking thing that he ridiculed Cornette for. So whatever. But
Right.
as we before that little mini rant, as
Yes.
we were about to get into,
That side road
which is then gonna lead into
we
another
took there.
rant. Um, so
Yes.
at the start of the Something to Prove official release, and on what we found, a little mini
Yes.
documentary entitled "This Is IWA," and
Yes.
do they come to the guy who waved the IWA flag higher and harder and more violently than I was? I was Mr. IWA at that time, and I dare anybody to fucking say
Right.
different. I would argue, like, spend 24/7 arguing with people online, defending the IWA name, putting the IWA name over. I mean, been gone for 17 fucking years. I'm doing an IWA flat, like trying to get people to love IWA to this day, you know. And
Right. Right. Right.
who do they
Right.
fucking talk to on the This Is IWA documentary? Danny motherfucking Daniels and Jimmy fucking Jacobs. That's their go-to, for, oh well, let's put them on the fucking documentary. Like,
And
okay,
Danny didn't even seem like he wanted to be there.
right. Even in his fucking thing, he's like, I don't know why I'm still fucking here. You know, so you
Right.
can see he had the fucking screw job in his head already at that point. And he's the one you put on the fucking goddamn thing.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna assume this was a Prazak call to put this on because we knew how many tapes this was gonna sell, and we knew it was gonna draw outside fans. So, here's, even though I saw an online review about it, and I kind of agree, like, guys are kind of talking out of kayfabe, and you're about to watch a fake pro wrestling show. You know what I mean? So it was like a weird kind of dynamic. Maybe, put it at the end of the show. I don't know. I don't know how you fix that, but one reviewer was like, I watch wrestling for an escape, and they're, basically, you know uh making these people instead of just wrestlers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
uh but I thought, there's pros and cons to putting it on or not putting it on. So I definitely, if it was a praise that call or whatever, I definitely agree because, we know how many tapes are sold. We know how many DVDs are sold. Like, people wanted to see this show. They wanted to see that match. And,
Right.
I'd be interested. I'm sure there's no way to find out, total copies sold, but I mean, it's got to be up there, man. It's got to be.
Right. I mean, it I mean, there was a lot of shows that I would be at the concession, or at the gimmick table selling the shit,
Right.
especially going to other shows with everybody. I'd be the one that would be at the gimmick table because I wouldn't perform on the other shows. So
Right.
I'd be the one selling the things, and like, Something to Prove was the one that we could not keep in stock.
Right.
You know, um, why anybody would why anybody ever bought from IWA at the shows, I have no idea, because when I would do that, like, the next show, like, everybody would be bringing like, there's nothing on these DVDs.
Right. Yeah. I
They
definitely
don't work.
remember. I remember
And
definitely remember dud tapes, and this show isn't the show that's on the cover and stuff like that. Uh, but yeah, Patty would have to rerun them, or whatever the case may be. For the so they bought them in March, and then they don't get them back until May, unless
right.
they.
And it's like, how hard is it to hit play when you're done and make sure that
Right.
it turned out right,
Yeah.
and just one of the many things that always went wrong. But there's my rant about This Is IWA mini documentary that
Yes.
was
Shout out
on the
Mary
thing.
Kate. She was in the documentary on a clip. Still talk to Mary Kate to this day. So shout out Mary Kate for dancing with Eric Cannon
Yes, Dancing with Eric
on his
Cannon.
little
There you
clip.
go. Yeah. Um, okay, I was wondering if that was her when I saw that clip. I was like, I
Yeah.
think that was who it was. So, um, but now we can get into the actual show itself, the show proper. And
Yes.
the very first match was for the IWA Mid South Light Heavyweight title, and it was Josh
Well, before
Abercrombie.
we get there, there's a Joe promo, and then there's a really great Jimmy Jacobs promo to start the show, and then there's a Mickey promo that's not so great. But
Right.
that, I mean, if you haven't seen like the Mickey promo, she's like, I've never heard Mickie Knuckles talk this soft a day in her life, but she chose a noisy ECW arena to whisper promo for
Well,
this
and she kept looking
promo for the
over like,
women's title match.
but here
He's probably like
I
directing her.
wasn't there when that was filmed,
Right.
so I can't speak on this.
Yes.
But here's what I pictured in my head as I'm watching that and watching her eyes keep going over. Anytime that I would be cutting a promo in the ring with Ian and we're going back and forth, he would have this just god awful habit where he would like try to like he would like mouth back what you just said, and he's like, and then he'd be like trying to get you to say like a certain word or something, so I wouldn't even look at him. I had to
Well,
get to the
okay,
point
gotcha.
where I had to get to the point where like I can't even look at you because you're sitting over here
Right,
parroting back what I've already said and then trying to like
right,
get me to say another line or something. And I'm like, all you're doing is like confusing the fuck out of me. Let I know what I
right,
want to
right.
say. Let me say what I want to say
Yeah,
here, you know. And instead, like, because you just be looking at him like, okay, we playing charades here? What you
right.
what, did Timmy fall in the well, Lassie? What's going on here? What are you trying to get to me? So the whole time I was just picturing there's Ian off to the side, like trying to tell her what to say
Right,
instead of just
right.
letting her say it or give it to her ahead of time. So instead, he's like 2 feet away from her and mouthing it to her and
Right.
just confusing her and distracting her while she's
Yep,
trying to do it.
yep,
And that's what it looked like to me. But again, I wasn't there, so I don't know if that's what was going on. But I've
right.
been in that
You can only
situation.
assume.
I can
Right.
only assume that that was what was going on. Um, I will concede to you that the Jimmy Jacobs promo. I guess you're talking about the one where he's out on the street
Yeah, yeah.
and
I
he's
thought it was
got
great, man.
the belts and talking. Okay, I'll give you that one. That was
He tied his ECW arena history to his IWA history, and I'm a top guy now, and I thought, yeah, he made some good points, and he had a good ender, and it was just, a-okay, Jimmy. If you ever watch this podcast, great promo in 2005.
yeah. So I'll concede that one to you. That was good. Yeah, not a great inspirational promo out of Mickey before her
Right.
big title match on the show, but it is what it is, and really at that point, other than the stuff that she did with me, where we would
She
go back,
hadn't
like
been talking. Yeah, right.
she didn't really get promo time.
Yeah,
So I mean, it might have been like one of her first actual like
right.
promos
Yeah.
in the ring. So, well, not in the ring, but definitely her first
Right.
backstage one.
Right. Right.
I'd almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, for
so,
sure.
so yeah, that was a little, and at some point you gotta look at that and go, you know what? Don't put that one on the DVD
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
because
Leave that one
it's
on the cutting room floor, please.
and before we continue on, like going back and watching the because after the GCW Hall of Fame that we went to last year, shout out, like I guess this we're just a couple days away from Dysfunction
Yes.
going in.
Yes.
So congrats, had him on
Congrats, my
here already,
friend.
but congrats, Dysfunction, when this airs the next day.
Yeah. Only American this year in the class.
Only American in the class. So congratulations, Dysfunction. But anyway, after that, I had went back and watched, for me, the original GCW Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Right.
And I watched so much of that. And the number of interviews that they let go onto the air,
Right.
that a lot of them would make that Mickey promo that we just like look like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
They had one guy, now I can't remember his name, but they had one guy that they brought out like 4 weeks in a row.
Oh no.
Trying to get this
him
guy over.
Right.
I think his name was like Nighthawk or something like that. He was like this big African American guy. And they brought him out, and he got like 4 weeks in a row, he got promo time, and oh my God, he could not talk at all.
Oh
and each week it got worse. I'm like, how is he getting worse?
Right. And how did we not build on what we had, pal?
and then it was like, and then finally, after like a month, they were like, okay, we can't use you.
Yeah.
We just cannot use you. And then he just disappeared and was never never on any of the episodes again. I think his name was Nighthawk. It was just awful. And you're sitting there going like, why are you can tell afterwards. And I'm pretty, I know they weren't airing live,
Right. Yeah. We
kind of deal. So it's like, you gotta cut it, man. Just cut it and
right.
fill it with something else. Gotta do it. But, we'll go ahead and get back into the actual show here. So Josh Abercrombie versus Delirious. Delirious is the light heavyweight champion coming into the match.
He's also in this match from the edge of insanity, because Kevin Harvey says from the edge of insanity instead of the edge of sanity. So
and then I spent 5 minutes trying to explain, cover for it on commentary, because I mean, really, it just depends on which side of the edge you're standing on, because as I said, one side is sanity, the other side is insanity. So maybe that day he stood on the other side of the edge. I don't know, but I'll go ahead and do the, like, Kevin Harvey. What was with his voice?
I think that's just like the voice he used for ring announcing, but I mean, he definitely didn't sound like that. I don't know. He sounded like an old opera singer or something.
Well, to me, I wrote it down. It was a bad impression of a bad, like what somebody thinks a radio guy should sound like.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you doing? You didn't talk like that normally. And so I was listening to it and I'm like, are you an alien? What was that? And then I got another note about his ring announcing when we get to the semi-main event later on, but the sound was horrible with the microphone.
You could not hear promos.
You could not hear promos. You couldn't hear the intros. Of course, it doesn't help when commentary is talking over the top of it.
Right.
So I really hope that Michael Z's commentary packet that he's offering to folks that he
the handbook
talked about on the last episode, like, I really hope that in there is shut up when someone's doing a promo, shut up when someone's doing the ring introduction, so the people can actually
I can confirm that it is. So
okay, because that was a big problem on this show,
right?
And whatever. So the match, Delirious is a style, and you're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. It bordered on the edge for me,
right.
Depending on which way he would take it. Because a little bit of silly is fine, but a whole match of silly and doing that kind of stuff, not really for me. This match, he was on the good side of the edge for
Right.
me. It was a fun, at one point he like crawls under the ring and Josh is spinning in circles and like what's where, and he's like looking for him or whatever, and then comes out the, he should have came out not the straight side straight across at that
Right.
point when he did it, but he did. And but still Josh sold it well as to like, oh, I don't know where he, what happened, where did he go.
Right.
So I like that part. They did real well with like Josh should be, you could tell like Josh had scouted and knew Delirious's offense, so he had counters
Yeah. Yeah.
for most stuff, but then the gibberish and the acting crazy would like confuse
Throw him
him and
off. Yeah.
throw him off just a little bit,
Right.
and like stop any momentum before it got going,
Yep.
kind of deal, and stuff. So I mean, the match was a lot of that. Um,
Yeah.
to me, the finish just seemed like it sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was kind
Like,
of, yeah, he kind of just hit him with something and then hit the splash real quick and finished it. I think all the matches on the show, maybe besides that six-man tag, could have shaved some time and it would have been, a lot better, especially, this match, the next match, that gauntlet match. Like if we could have just shaved some time off some of this, like I said, it was hot as hell in that building. So like it's the middle of the afternoon too. I think it was like a 2 p.m. or maybe 3
yeah,
start. So like it's hot as hell in that warehouse. So if we could have, I thought Josh and Delirious had a great match. I thought Delirious was a fantastic pro wrestler, a fantastic gimmick, and Ian always saw him as more than just the comedy guy. He'd give him matches with low key and give him matches where he could like show his stuff and put him in that series with Punk where they can wrestle a little bit, then do some comedy, and then do some Gaga or whatever. Ian didn't see him as a one note wrestler as much as some other promoters or bookers would have at that time. He was definitely, down to put in the work. And again, I thought this was a great opener. It could have just been, 3 to 4 minutes shorter, in my opinion.
yeah. I'll echo what you said there. Pretty much the opinions that I had on it. Um, again, I just the finish is so important to a match, and with what they were doing beforehand, it didn't fit for me when they got to the finish, and then it was because they were working one way and then they got to the end and then it just completely like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah, and
just out of nowhere,
they were doing some
like
shit in
poo
that
poo.
match.
And
They did some crazy stuff.
yeah, so I
And
I
then
was like
yeah,
into it, and then it
yeah.
was just like, whoa, that
Oh,
just
yeah.
came, and I mean, every once in a while you got to do that.
Right, right,
I mean, I get that. You want to finish out of nowhere every once in a while, catch the people off guard, and
right,
you
right,
don't want people to, you don't want to be a cookie cutter and have like where people know, okay, well, this is how this is going to go. So
right.
I can see him doing it that way, but it just for me it just came out, and then I didn't remember it, but later in the show, Prazak in passing says Delirious broke his nose. And
Okay.
it did look like Josh loved Josh. He was great and could do all different styles in the ring. And I appreciated, he was a talented guy and I liked his matches. But that Phoenix Splash was like a corporal punch. It was
Right.
the lottery. Sometimes you'd win and sometimes you'd lose the lottery. And on that one, it did look like he like landed directly on Delirious's face. And then
Right.
when Prazak was like, "Oh yeah, Delirious has a broken nose." Word from the back is Delirious broke his nose,
Right.
and then they immediately got into like, was it a lizard nose, and was it
Okay,
a
yeah.
human nose on a lizard face, and different things like that. And
Gotcha.
I was like, where did the lizard stuff come from?
I want to say Punk started that. I know one time in Evansville, Tracy Smothers was wrestling Delirious, and he said, "Delirious, I'm gonna take that mask off of you. I'm gonna prove to everyone here in Evansville that you are actually the American Dragon." And I just remember dying laughing, like, why? It's just Brian Danielson under the mask. Okay. Imagine if that was true. Imagine if it was actually just Brian Danielson. I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to do this crazy gimmick, and I'm gonna, sing the Muppet song and drool on my hands and wrestle CM Punk. But
Yeah.
no, he was not. He was not the American Dragon, and he did have a human nose. And now that you say that it was broken, I remember at least seeing, a little maybe band-aid or a cut or something, on the nose, after that show.
Okay.
Maybe a
But did
photo.
you ever see the lizard face? Was it a lizard face?
It was not a lizard face.
It was
Not
not
at
a
least
lizard face.
at least not the nose part that I saw. I cannot confirm or deny about the rest of his
The
face.
rest of his face. So it could have been a lizard face, but a human
It
nose.
it could have been one of those
Okay.
hybrids.
A hybrid. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the second match on the show,
Yes.
Homicide versus Punk.
Yes.
And when that was the announced match, I'm like, second? That's the
Right?
second match of the show. I was like shocked. And then I saw why it was the second match on the show when I watched. I know at one point Prazak on I had wrote down that Prazak on commentary made the comment Punk has a very bright future in this sport.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that's quite ended up being quite the understatement
Right.
there. But
He had already signed his WWE deal at this time. He was finishing up the indie dates, and uh he Tracy Smothers jumps on commentary. You had some fan and family business to tend to, so Tracy Smothers jumps on commentary and just bluntly asks, "Who's the baby face and who's the heel? I gotta know, man."
yeah.
it,
Uh,
it it just Tracy was cracking me up the whole match. But it definitely seemed like they were taking it a little bit easy.
they definitely took it
Match
easy.
two at the
Uh
ECW arena.
I wrote
There's a funny
down
part.
why did Punk enter the ring like he was the Big Show and stepped over the top rope and
Yeah, I'm
then
not
did like the
sure.
choke slam thing? I was like,
He said
what?
later on, he said he was so huge that he had to uh, go over the rope like Andre because he's so massive now, essentially, on
Okay.
commentary.
Okay. Well, um, I mean, quite frankly, I fell asleep during this match, and so my notes stopped after um the Punk entered the ring like the Big Show, and then I ended up falling asleep a few minutes into it at that
Uh,
point. So
there's a funny part of this match. Steve Mack from the Hit Squad, also known as Monster Mac. Tracy like gets pulled away for something, so Monster Mac just randomly jumps on commentary. He had never worked at IWA before, so this is in 2005, and he's just like really, Homicide's like one of his mentors, so he's like really putting over Homicide, really putting over Punk, really putting over IWA, like trying to be like, if they come back, I'm trying to get booked, but in 2005, June of 2005, he's doing commentary for this match. He does Steve Mack does not come to IWA until TPI 2019, which was like in fall of 2019. So it took that long for Steve Mack to get on an IWA show. He lost to Larry D on night one of the TPI, and then on night two, he won the opportunity in a box match, which was basically our Money in the Bank. You have a title shot good for a year, you can cash in. And Steve Mack won that on night two of TPI and then never came back. So he never cashed it in. He never came back. So somewhere in the
how
world,
perfectly IWA.
somewhere in the world, Steve Mack still has an IWA world title shot contract, just ready to use. It might cash it on you, man. He sees it behind you.
Eh, he better stay the hell away from my version. My,
Afterwards, we got the Ian Rotten. He's got to put over these rookies, Homicide
yes.
and CM Punk. He's got to, he just basically puts over Punk and everything he's done for IWA, and yada yada yada. Just a big old suck fest after Punk and Homicide's match. I think Punk went over in that one, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was Homicide.
Oh, was it Homicide? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I had fallen asleep, so I could have just been. But I think it was Homicide that got in the win. But
Okay, you might be correct.
I
I just watched it, but I've already watched more wrestling since then, so everything is.
it wasn't in your phone.
It
You
was.
didn't write it. You didn't have that
I didn't
blurb
write
down.
down results. I just have the
Okay.
matches.
Okay.
Next up, we have. That's probably why Tracy got off commentary, because he was next. His people were probably like, "Hey, come on, baby, we gotta."
Well, he wasn't next.
Was it not?
No, the women's title match was next.
Are you sure?
I mean, in my order of how I had everything written down.
Okay, maybe I just. Okay, okay, you're correct. Well, like you had sent me what you had so far, so I was like, well, he has so much about this. I didn't even write it down because I was like, well, this is his time to shine.
Well, yes,
I did watch it, but I didn't have it on my format here. But you
okay.
are correct.
Okay. Yeah. So the next match was Mickie versus Mischief versus Allison Danger. Um, three-way women's match for the elimination for the IWA Mid South women's title. Not sure why Allison Danger was in this match, other than favors to other people.
Yeah, I think you are correct. She was local to the area as well, so it's not like you got to fly her in or whatever. So yeah, I think it was somebody else on the show wanted her on the show.
Yeah. So she's put into this match. She has some kind of a promo at the beginning. I have no idea.
It's Charlie Brown's teacher. You cannot make
Yeah.
out, and I really tried. I had my phone up to my ear. I put it on the TV. I turned it up as loud as I could. I got noise complaints because it just sounds like nothing and everything. Yeah, and it's not a short and sweet one either. I mean, she talks for a couple minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, so give her credit. The crowd, gave her heat. The crowd was definitely.
She did get reactions.
Because the crowd had not been responsive up until this point.
Right.
Through the first couple of matches, the crowd was relatively quiet.
Both of them being babyface versus babyface, they were kind of, they weren't booing anybody, they weren't giving anybody shit. So this was the first, heel on the show.
And I had I'm back on commentary because Mickey's in the match, so I'm on commentary. I wrote down at one point while Allison Danger is Charlie Brown's teacher is talking in the ring, Prazak said she should do her talking in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to respond and say, she is doing her talking in the ring, Dave.
I mean, she was literally doing her
she
talking.
Was literally in the ring as she's talking. And then he said something like, well, she should address it to her opponents. And I'm like, she is addressing it to her opponents. And he was like, okay, whatever. So we were still right in the middle of. Actually, I think the Mickie angle ends abruptly like 1 week after this show.
Oh wow! Doesn't even make it to War Games.
It did not make it to War Games. Wow. We had already done the where she like made me wear the skirt.
Yep, yep.
And we had already done the Top Gun.
Yep.
And she like knocked me out and left me there. but I was still selling it on commentary for this show. And then like a week later, there's a show in like Midlow or something, and she's wrestling Rain, and I purposely get her disqualified or something like,
Okay.
and that was the like, I think I ran in and clothesline Rain so Mickie would lose
Okay.
or something. And that like ended the angle at
That's a
that
blow off,
point.
pal.
But that's the blow, that's a blow off right there, pal. Um, so yeah, it didn't even make it to the war games,
Damn.
but on commentary, I'm calling her the love of my life, the apple of my eye.
I know Prazak's like love of your life.
And then like when Mickie climbs the ropes to during her entrance and she like bends, and I'm like, Glenn, I hope you zoomed in on that. It got a shot of that cleavage, and
Oh my
and
god.
and then like watching it back, he didn't zoom all the way in, but there was a little. I think he listened to me and gave me a little bit of a zoom there. So I appreciated that one, Glenn. If you're listening to this one, thank you for doing that one for me. I owe you on that one. And then this was when I had wrote down, like, by the third match I had had enough of the awful voice that Kevin Harvey was using, and
Right.
that's where in my notes I'm like, this is a bad impression of like what somebody thought a 1950s radio news guy would sound like on the radio. um at that point, Punk comes and kicks me off commentary
Yep.
and threatens to throw me over the balcony,
Yeah. Like Public Enemy.
um if I don't get up. So of course I have no choice but to get up, and
Right.
then you know it's Prazak and Punk on commentary. After that, I would not suggest that folks go and listen to.
It is definitely a commentary of the times.
Yeah, commentary of the times.
Like so yeah.
Michael Z talked about how for a long time there was a no commentary option that fans
Right.
could choose for IWA shows. I think it had something to do with some of the uh some of the commentary that was going on with like this match, and then one of the matches later on. Again, cancel culture worthy
Right.
with some of the.
There are some strong phrases on this show.
Yeah. So not great, but I'm off commentary, so I don't get to watch the match, and so I miss the majority of this stuff. I did like how the whole angle had been Mickey Mischief in their feud. Dave kept mentioning they had a cage match in Heron, Illinois before this,
They did.
that Mickey had won, but I guess it was before Mischief had won the title,
Yep.
kind of thing. So um, I liked how at the beginning they kept sending Allison to the floor,
Yep.
getting rid of her. Like you
Right.
don't
You don't
even
even go
belong in.
here.
Yeah, you don't even belong in this match. You just stay out here. So I want to get into one of my rants here.
Uh-oh. Rant it up, baby.
So Allison and Mischief are on the floor,
Yes.
and Mickey goes to do her dive. Neither one even feign being interested in trying to get in front of Mickey and catch her.
Right.
Allison walked away like she's Samoa Joe doing a spot where Samoa Joe would just walk away and watch somebody splat into the floor. Mischief sort of alligator armed it from the side, and Mickey just goes face first into the ground like a lawn dart,
Right into the guardrail too.
right into the guardrail, right into the concrete floor, just face first. I thought she had busted herself wide open on that.
Yeah.
It didn't. I guess it didn't really.
No, I don't think
It
she
didn't
was
really see
bleeding
blood until later.
yeah.
But I mean, you could definitely tell concussion city.
Right. She's definitely out of it.
Definitely out of it. So they continue working. Mickey like trying to clear the cobwebs, trying to get her head right. Mischief goes to the top rope. Mickie has Allison.
Yes.
Mischief dives off the top rope. Allison runs the fuck away and is 20 feet away. And Mickie comes in and fully catches Mischief and lets Mischief land completely on top of her and smacks Mickey's head, back of her head,
right
into the damn concrete.
She got it coming and going on that one.
Right. She got it. She got it front of the head, back of the head.
Right.
You know, those other two, I wouldn't throw a piece of paper at either one of those two and expect them to try to fucking catch it after watching this. And like, I have no idea what the fuck Allison Danger was doing. It just running like, nope, I ain't about to try to catch anybody, you know. And again, I'm like, why are you even in this fucking match?
She thankfully did not dive, so she wasn't a jerk and then expect people to catch her. But
I wanted her to dive at that point. I wanted her to dive, and I wanted her to land right on top of her fucking head.
Oh my god.
And then I would have laughed. Because what the fuck? You know? And, you know, at least when Samoa Joe does that, the guy knows that Samoa Joe's going to walk away.
Yeah.
And it's the planned spot.
Yeah.
Not, I'm just going to, like, sure, we'll bust the front of your head and the back of your head so we can do these dive spots. But I ain't about to break a nail or break a sweat or, you know, put forth any fucking effort whatsoever on the thing. And just absolutely was livid watching that. And how many times have you been on Twitter and I've seen you tweet like, catch a motherfucker, you know, what in the fuck?
Be a pro and be a professional and catch your peers.
And I mean, but I did chuckle a little bit knowing that for the most part, Mickey's okay now.
Yes.
When I saw like her catch Mischief and do that, because that was like it looked almost an exact carbon copy of me catching Brent Blades in the 8-man tag in Charlestown, where, you know, I'm like, all right, I got to make sure that I'm here to catch him, and he like comes down fully on me, or what? My head didn't smack on the concrete, luckily, when I did it, because there was, you know, the other seven people didn't pull an Allison Danger and fucking run to the dressing room to get the hell out of make sure she wasn't even in the same zip code as the catch being made. But, you know,
you digress.
Yeah, I'll digress. But guys, gals, what is it? Non-binary pals.
Yes.
If you're going to do a dive,
catch your friends.
Catch your friends.
Or even if you're not friends, just
even if you're not friends, because at some point you're going to, you know, everybody does a dive. You know, I've done a fucking dive. Prazak's done a fucking dive. Like, at some point you're going to do a dive. You're going to want them to catch you. So catch. Or don't do the spot at all.
Yeah.
But then there, you know, it's an elimination match. Or you talked about this Monster Mac guy still having a title shot just anytime he wants it, waiting for him, that he never cashed in. Allison Danger takes the mist.
Yes.
And just gets taken to the back and is gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically not eliminated.
Right. She's the IWA Women's Champion.
I guess by default, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or she can come back and try to claim a title, like she's the uncrowned champion or something. I don't know. But so that was like weird to me that they just got her out of there.
Right. Without pinning her.
Yeah. Maybe too big for her britches to get pinned. I don't know.
Recall. Yeah.
It just was weird to me that, did not get pinned, just took the mist and then was gone. Um, which then turns it into just Mickie versus Mischief. Um, there was the spiked vest
Yes.
that got repeatedly kneed into Mickey's head, and
Which I think she had done before, so it was like a callback because
right.
that's what it seemed like on commentary from what Dave said. We've seen her use that vest before, however he put it. So
One of the few things that was said actually about the match that was usable. Yes.
yes,
So yeah, I don't remember it, but then Al, they tried to do they did the missed spot again.
hit the referee.
There was a referee in this match. I don't
Yeah,
recall that.
yes,
Don't recall that. But they did that, and but Mickie ends up winning with her the what was the name of it? The redneck knockout. What did she call it?
yeah. I'm not sure. We always called it the Shining Kawada Kick.
Okay.
So I don't know if she had an official name for it.
But she wins the title, and I had to miss it. The love of my life, the apple of my eye, becomes the women's champion, and I couldn't see it because CM Punk had to kick me off a commentary
Right.
and threatened to hang me like I was Public Enemy from the balcony or something. And weren't they hung by the feet upside down?
Yeah, yeah. By the funks.
I was not.
Didn't want to take a chance.
Yeah, love you, Mickie, but I wasn't gonna. I wasn't
Would
gonna
have
trust
been
Allison Danger to catch me.
would have been hard to watch that match
If the
upside
rope
down.
if the rope broke, it's like nope, not doing it. Um, but then the baby faces came out to the ring to celebrate,
Yeah,
which Josh Abercrombie did not get. There was an actual IWA chant, so the crowd finally came to life there at the
right,
end,
right.
and had a little bit of they woke up from the heat induced coma
Yes,
from inside the building, until they got yet another Ian Rotten promo, which I think was about the third one on the show.
right.
Because
Yeah.
didn't he have one like right at the very beginning of the show, and then
If he did, they didn't film it, but I mean, it seemed like every show started with the Ian speech, so
right? So
I'd be
I'm pretty sure he
surprised
did
if it
one at the
didn't.
beginning, and then he did the one for Punk, and then
Yeah.
he came back out and did this one. What was that video game that you played that
Oh,
always said
EWR.
that I
Yeah,
was oversaturated?
yeah. Ian
Ian's
Rotten.
already
Ian Rotten was in too many segments. He lost
too many.
overness.
Yeah, too many segments already, and we're only a few matches in here. Um, the next match was Claudio
Yes.
with Jade Chung,
Yes.
against Tracy.
Yep.
Again, avoid the commentary.
The commentary is rough. It is of its time. Claudio with hair. I was also with hair at this point in the timeline, so I could relate. Uh, I want to say Jade only got put with Claudio because Tracy wanted like a manager to like play off of. Because sometimes Tracy would do that, or Tracy would have another heel with him, or another baby face with him to, do manager spots.
Right.
He just enjoyed doing that stuff. Uh, Pee Wee Moore is the referee for this show or this match, and I think he does another match
I think
later
he does
on.
the 6 man.
Uh, he had never worked IWA before. Obviously, Pee Wee Moore was a famous Sabu friend referee. One time in Plainfield, it's I think Sabu's on the show, or maybe Sabu signing autograph. There's like a reason why Pee Wee Moore is there. Like he's not just randomly there, but Pee Wee Moore is going to be at the show. So it's me, Tank, Insane Lane, and Freak Show. And we're all just standing there. And, they had just got there. We're just chit chatting. And Pee Wee Moore walks into this building, does not say anything else before he looks at all of us and says, "Y'all got a blunt?" And we were like, "No." And then he just runs off to find someone with a blunt, I still to this day have never been introduced to Pee Wee Moore because he said that one thing to me, in Plainfield, and then I've never seen him or talked to him since.
Well, you said he friends with Sabu, and that would be the first thing that Sabu would always
Right, right,
say to me until it got through his head that the
right.
answer was always going to be no.
He finally remembered.
Um, Except he wouldn't say blunt. He would just say, "Do I got any gimmicks at all?"
Right, right.
Um, but but yeah, the that checks out. I'll believe your story. Uh, but Tracy gets a really good pop on his entrance. The crowd's livened up.
Oh yeah.
They're starting to get into things. Yeah, I wrote the commentary just would not fly in 2026. So you may want to turn the volume down if you go back and rewatch.
Claudio does a promo, and the people will not stop chanting Tracy Smothers throughout the whole thing. And it's not just a short promo. They're chanting Tracy Smothers for like 90 seconds, and you can't hear Claudio at all. All you
Yeah.
hear is Tracy Smothers, nonstop.
And then they commentary tries to play it off as that's not what was being said, and I'm like, ugh,
Right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Tracy gets a USA chant started against a
yes,
guy from
yes,
Switzerland
a guy from
who's
Switzerland. Yeah,
neutral,
I actually have that written down. I was like
and then he
USA,
start,
USA, USA. Was
and
that
then
a
he
black armband for Candido that Tracy
I
was
have to I
wearing?
have to assume
Because I couldn't
I
really tell. It sort of looked like maybe a triple threat logo
right, yeah.
was on that little armband thing there. I'm guessing that because
Yeah.
I mean we were
Right.
like just over a month and a half removed
Yeah, I think it was
from.
like the end of April that he passed away, and we're in
Yeah.
June. Tracy also started a "She's a hoe" chant for
Yes.
Jade
Yeah, I
Chung.
did not want to bring that one up, but yeah.
I think it's okay.
Again,
I think it's okay, man. I think it's
not
okay.
not not not
She,
very PC in 2026.
right. Of it, the show is of its time, guys. Like I don't know how many times we got to say that. It is of its time. It's of the vocab and whatever we're saying. Back then we are a jackass generation, or whatever.
Right.
Just crazy stuff. Uh, Again, this is another match that I think needed 5 minutes shaved off of it because they go like 15 minutes, and it's like a lot of it's like Gaga using the manager, and finally Tracy makes the comeback, and you know, it's great pro wrestling, but I don't think that crowd wanted a 15-minute Tracy Smothers match. You know what I mean? They were
Right.
there for Joe and Necro. They didn't care. Uh, in my notes, I said fun match, but probably could have shaved 5 minutes off. Tracy hits uh, a perfect 619. You know, Sometimes he would
Yes.
hit it. Sometimes his legs would get tangled up in it. But this is a pretty much perfect 619 from Tracy Smothers. So expertly hit that. And then did Claudio go over?
Claudio went
Yeah.
over. He like
There was a bunch of
he
Gaga with
yeah, he like rolled over and pulled a chain out of his jacket that was on
okay,
the ring
yeah, yeah.
post and used the chain. Um, the other note I had in here was the first time that Punk had said something on commentary that I agreed with. Prazak said, "Hey Punk, are you sticking around for the CZW show?" And Punk said, "Fuck no." And on that one, I entirely agreed with CM Punk.
That's
That was
become a famous quote from that show because everyone, you know, popped when they heard it the first time of him burying, CZW. I don't remember anything from that CZW show except for the Necro match. Necro and Toby, we saw what happened to them on this show. They actually went on to wrestle Nick Gage and Justice Payne at CZW, and for like Toby and Necro, the tough, crazy bastards. It's like an all timer, great tag team death match. So Necro had, two of the greatest death matches of his career in the same building, hours apart.
well, I was long gone by the time that show.
Right. Yeah, yeah. We were
Yeah,
definitely back at the
yeah,
hotel at
we
that
were
point.
gone. You couldn't you couldn't have paid me to stay in that building for the CZW show. Um, after that match, it was the tables match
Yes.
for the tag titles. I guess this was sort of Royal Rumble esque
Yeah, it was like a
with
tag team gauntlet kind of.
new team coming out every couple of minutes. And the first team out was supposed to be Eric Priest and Silas Young.
Yes.
Silas Young did not show up.
He did not. I think he, didn't want to make the trip or couldn't make the trip or because I want to say he doesn't come back anymore after because Priest and Chandler become a thing
Right.
shortly after, uh, to even go to War Games. So maybe the week after, whatever,
Yeah.
the next Midwest show we had, I think Ian put them together, essentially.
Right. So it's Eric Priest comes out, cuts a promo,
You can definitely hear him
make
more
yeah,
than
you
everyone
can hear
else. I don't know if that's because he knows how to enunciate and speak
you
into a
know
microphone,
right,
but
speak into a microphone and with some force to
yeah,
where there's some volume to it. So you could hear him give his patented introduction,
yeah,
mad at Kevin Harvey for doing it poorly,
right,
and take it, and then he introduces an ECW legend,
yes,
an
an
ECW
awesome,
an awesome legend, a awesome ex champion,
yes,
and it ends up being Chad Austin,
yes.
who I have no memory of.
He
Um,
was Chad Boo when Sabu beat up a Sabu imposter. Ian and Axel were friends with him from, I guess, the Maryland days. Chad Austin definitely like came down and I want to say did some IWA shows like in the 90s and like stayed at my mom's house with everybody with everybody just like upstairs, hanging out for a couple weeks and I want to say he
okay,
did some IWA shows or did a loop with Ian somewhere, there was a reason why he was around, I guess. But
okay,
yeah, ECW guy, I think he's not the guy that there was something else with him. I just saw something recently on Facebook about him like doing some sketchy things and living on the street and somewhere on the East Coast or something. It was just in one of those wrestling groups and stuff like
huh?
wow, holy shit, not to bury the guy or talk
Okay.
about his
Well,
talk
and
about
then
his
he seemed to be very JT Smith esque
yeah,
with what he was like, immediately
yeah,
coming out and
I
like
don't remember that part of
falling
his
off the ring
ECW stuff, but
apron,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
like and then
yeah.
so then Priest was doing it too, where they were
Yeah,
just like
Priest, that was like a regular spot of Priest, the Arabian Press, where he like eats shit and it always got the desired response, which is like it looks like a fuck up, so people start chanting you fucked
right,
up. But he was on that Sabu of like, I won't tell, I won't let the fans know it's a fuck up. I'll make up my own fuck ups and then get them to chant because I want them to chant instead of them doing it on their own,
right,
type shit.
yeah. So then what was it? Davey Andrews and Shane
Yes,
Hagedorn come out.
from the Ring of Honor School,
Um,
Punk's kids.
Punk's Punk's kids, Punk's on commentary still. Um, you know, puts his guys over, and they're in control of the match, I would say.
Yep.
With Priest and Austin doing the fuck ups and acting like jackasses. The Ring of Honor students have the leg up. Then Kingston and BJ come out with me and Jade.
Yep.
Um, Kingston eliminates both of those teams by power bombing Hagedorn through Chad Austin
Yep. On the
on a
table.
table,
Right.
to where I then cut my promo talking
Much
in
longer than 2 minutes.
much longer than 2 minutes, 30 seconds in, Punk's going, I'm bored. Well, motherfucker, your match put me to sleep. So we're consider it even. All right. And then Prazak is bitching, going, "Oh, does Fannin just get to make his own rules here? And there's a special rule in this match that if you eliminate all the competition, that you can just talk as long as you want."
Well,
Yes, Dave. That's
until they send someone
exactly
else
what
out.
got added. And so I cut the promo, and I had asked you before this if you were the one that had told me about this.
Yeah, I
And
yeah, I don't think it was me. If it was, that information has left my brain many, many years ago.
yeah, but somebody that was in the back,
Probably Mike Burns, or Mike Burns heard it, or something.
somebody that was in the back told me that what did you say this guy's name
Maven
was?
Bentley.
So Reed's cousin. Um, Not very happy with my promo because I repeatedly mentioned that CZW sucks.
You
Well,
did.
ladies and gentlemen, they sucked in 2000, they sucked in 2005, they suck in 2026, and they sucked everywhere along the way in between. All right. Sorry to break that to you, but I think it's like, again, it was hard to hear Punk and Prazak are talking over me the entire time.
Yeah.
I don't remember the gist of it.
You're
I
like,
think I
I'm
would I think I was
if I ever
saying,
if I win War Games, I'm never coming back here. This place is a shithole.
right, yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
burying, Jade's taken over the Fannin family, so I can handle, owner business and stuff like that. Uh, they finally, you finally make your point and hand off the microphone, and then here comes Trick and Boz.
Yeah.
Uh, the only note I have is Kingston takes a head scissors off the apron, and the
Yes, I had
splat,
that one down too.
the
Uh,
splat that he makes is so disgusting
yeah.
on the floor.
I had a few notes where the Trick does a crossbody off the top rope, and BJ catches him, or well, like rolls through
Yep.
and straight into a brain buster. That got like a pretty good pop from the crowd. The Iron Saints end up coming out. Then B-Boy and Brandon Tomaselli come out. They did a spot where Boz picked up Trick and power bombed him over the top with like
Yep.
throwing him like a lawn dart
Yep.
into everybody. And nobody ran 20 feet away. And, they actually caught Trick. Amazing how that can be done. Yeah, it was shortly after that Trick did the head scissors
Yeah, and
onto
it's
Eddie to the
disgusting. It
floor
is
and splat.
disgusting.
So
I think there's post match replays for this one because there's tables involved,
yeah,
and they have that on there, and it's just absolutely disgusting. Punk gets offended by B Boy doing a double Saito suplex to the Iron Saints. He's
yes.
like, he's very upset that
Talking
Benny.
about his skinny arms.
He's very so mad that Benny hit this double suplex. He probably, uh, I don't know. He was fired up about it.
Yeah, but then BJ hits the exploder suplex through the table. Um, After Boz and Trick had tried to put me
Right, yeah.
through a table.
Yeah.
So like we've like
They were
eliminated
gonna power
everybody.
bomb you or something? Is
Yeah,
that
they
what
were
the
trying to power bomb me. I guess they were trying to recreate the Olytic spot from
Right,
'99
right,
with
right.
Ox and
Must be.
Ian super
Must
bombing me
be.
through the table, but I was a good 40 pounds heavier at this point
Right.
than I was at that point. So good luck to them of trying that. But BJ saved me. And at this point, like we've eliminated everybody in the
Yeah.
match. I am going to technically go on the record and say that since we eliminated Trick and Boz,
You're
for a
the tag
moment
team
in time,
champions.
we were the IWA Mid South Tag Team Champions. So we're going to
Right.
add that.
Gotta
Um,
get some new shirts printed up, man.
yeah, yeah. So we add that as a title for the Fannin family because we were the rightful champions. We were the dominant team, had eliminated everybody at that point. Um, then the person who I was going to turn the damn family over to, Jade Chung, gets herself power bombed through BJ. onto a
Yes,
table.
yes, yes.
So
Fannin
freaking
family's out of there.
doing the same freaking spot that we had eliminated two teams with
Right,
at
right.
the same time. They
Y'all should have thought about that. That's on you guys, really.
wasn't on me. I had nothing to do with it.
So
Uh,
that leaves the Iron Saints and B Boy and Brandon Tomaselli, and then they take care
that's
of B.
when the double Saito came that
Yep, yep,
just
yep. And
infuriated
then
Punk.
I think Punk. I think Punk stepped off commentary. That's how upset he was, if I'm not mistaken. They ended up putting Brandon through a table, double foot stomp through a table on the floor to win the titles. Looking up the title history, the Iron Saints had only been like regular since like January of the '05. They did the tag team tournament the year before and lost to someone in the first round, and then we hadn't seen them until January of '05, and then they end up winning the tag titles in June of that year. They only had them for like less than a month. They lost them to Ian and Axel, and then on their second reign, they beat Ian and Axel in a barbed wire ropes match, and then they lost the belts to Ian and Pondo, who was filling in for Axel Rotten. Just some random interesting trivia, I thought. The Bad Breed was involved in their title runs.
Okay. Well, what I wrote down was they do the double stomp onto the
Yes.
back of Brandon's head through the table, and the crowd went mild.
Yes.
There no reaction whatsoever.
Right. Iron Saints were not a proven commodity at that point, and you know, that was the team that they probably knew the least. Especially the Midwest guys. It's probably the Iron Saints, then Boz and Trick, and then everybody else was known, especially on the East Coast at that point. The other guys were. I guess Eric Priest would be in that same category as well of not being known, but everyone else had East Coast experience, so it wasn't like a who the hell's the Ring of Honor kids? They know the Ring of Honor kids.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't believe just how dead the crowd was after
Yeah,
that.
especially for a table spot
Right.
in
They got it. They
'05.
got it. They got all those broken tables,
Right.
and then there was just they show the Iron Saints walking out with the belts, and not no one's even giving a golf clap.
Right. NWO guys don't give a shit. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, just absolutely dead. Um, I did it did like tickle me that Jade Chung got a Jim Fannin experience because she was in the match with Claudio and then had to immediately come right back out
Right, right,
for
right.
this match. She had like that 2 minutes at the open to prepare to be able to come back,
Yeah.
but she did not do a wardrobe change like I would have done.
No, no. Should
You
not
know,
change a single thing on her attire.
so we'll just point that part out. And then like, did she really even come back after this? Because she definitely
I
didn't take over the family after.
She did not take over the family. I want to say I don't recall her coming back because I don't think she ever like wrestled or anything for us, so it would be hard to track unless they had it listed on
Right,
Cage Match. And you know how that is hit and miss when it comes to
right.
managers anyway.
But I don't really remember her
Yeah.
doing a whole lot after that. And we had been building it up. That wasn't like
A one show thing.
that wasn't just a one show thing. We had done where like I had made the intentions known that she was going to be the one that
Right.
was going to take over when I took over the company. She was going to take over for me, and we were building towards that. And again, in perfect IWA fashion, just no follow up on it whatsoever. And
Right.
um, I'm sure there was probably some backstage drama.
Who know? Yeah. Who freaking
Commentary
knows?
talk, made a lot of innuendos and references to a lot of things that were going on. A few things that I remember, a few things that I don't, but
Right.
you know, um, she's a family lady now, from what I understand. So, good for her. Things worked out for her. She didn't need the Fannin family, I guess, or IWA. So,
Right.
you know, uh,
Right.
Still just weird that we would do all the build up for it and then just go nowhere,
Yeah.
go nowhere with it. Um, but this then gets us into the 6-man tag. The only time that Madman Pondo and Mr. Insanity Toby Klein were managed by me.
Yes.
Neither one had any memory of it when they were guests on this
On the
podcast.
podcast.
Neither one remembered. Pondo thought that he teamed with Nate Webb in this match.
Oh, which they could have done, I guess.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, it could have just been
A three-way
a
tag.
3-way after a 6-way.
Yeah, right.
But whatever it was. So now are you ready for yet another rant?
Let me see what I have before you. Let's see if I don't know what your rant is about. I don't really have anything for this one except for Ian's promo. I touch on it, but is that your rant?
No, no.
Okay. Then you go, and then I'll go after you.
Okay. So I have I mentioned on here before, Nick Maniwa, about just how fucking stupid I think it was that I had to have JC Bailey in the Fannin family.
Oh, yes.
No sense whatsoever. All right. I've talked about it on here ad nauseum. I wanted Mickie Knuckles for that spot. That was who I wanted in that spot. That was the only one that would have made any sense in that spot. I would have taken anything other than him in that spot. There is no universe in this galaxy, in the no scenario in which I would have ever picked JC Bailey for anything other than being thrown out of a helicopter into an erupting volcano. Okay.
Oh my God. That's a bit much.
No, not really. Fuck the Baileys in all iterations. Fuck them all. Okay. The money they cost me, fuck each and every last one of them. And in no way, shape, or form would I have ever had him on the team. Ever.
Right.
And at no point in time have I ever tried to make myself the biggest, the strongest, the smartest, or the best. I've made an ass out of myself. I've done whimsy. I've done comedy, done whatever's asked. But in kayfabe, it makes no sense. In shoot, real life, it makes absolutely no sense. That why would I ever trust him to win me control of the company? Why would I ever count on him or trust him for that? Why would I treat him like dog shit at every opportunity, both in real life and in kayfabe, and expect that he's not going to turn on me? I mean, none of it made any sense whatsoever.
I mean, I guess you could just play it as, the crimes of the father is not the crimes of the son, but you don't see it that way. So,
right. I didn't see it that way in storyline. I didn't see it that way in real life. I didn't see it that way in anything. Because even in like this match, I'm screaming at him and calling him every fucking thing in the book. And I'm like, it makes no sense whatsoever that this was the storyline that we went with. And
I didn't even remember this happening in this match. I didn't remember any interaction, with you guys. For some reason, I thought the War Games thing was like a last minute kind of thing.
No, there was I think it was like in January. I think he was with me for like half a fucking year.
Oh, okay. See,
because we did it because it was like, because it was after, it was when we did, when we were building up for War Games to happen at the earlier date before we lost Highland.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And I
Gotcha.
think it was when we did Grandma Fannin wrote the letter to get me out of War Games once he announced that Bull was on his team. And I was like, absolutely, I'm no longer in this if Bull's in this.
Right.
And he was like, well, you got to have a suitable replacement. And so the suitable replacement was JC. But again, it like absolutely no sense whatsoever. And and if I'm going to be that stupid, then why would anybody have ever thought that I had a chance in hell
Of winning the company.
of winning War Games?
Right.
So I mean, you basically just like kill the angle by doing something that fucking stupid just to make me eat shit and make me have to do it.
Right. Right.
So, but I digress.
Yes.
It was a crazy match. Everybody bled buckets for the most part.
And it's only like 7 minutes long. It's like 6:30 or something. It's the craziest, maybe 8 minutes. It's the craziest sprint of a match. Before the match, Ian says that it's supposed to be Bad Breed and Balls Mahoney as the team, and since Balls Mahoney got on one night stand the next night at the Hammerstein Ballroom, that he tried to triple charge his, or 3 times his rate to come in for Ian, even though he had already agreed to come in, months earlier. So Balls Mahoney, as long as I run IWA, you will never wrestle for me again until the 2010 King of the Death matches in Bellevue, when he came in and did the tournament.
Forever is a long time.
So Balls Mahoney not there. Spider Nate Webb is there. He does his full entrance. Everybody gets a little piece of Spider Nate Webb.
Over
And then,
like Rover.
Yes. Everyone's
and for some reason
hitting gushers.
And for some reason, Kevin Harvey tries to do the ring intro as soon as Nate Webb's music hits. Did you notice that?
Right.
And Ian had to go up and be like,
him, right?
no. And then by when it ends, then Ian makes the point of going over and goes, now you can do it. And I'm like, why would he think? Why would he think that was when he should have done that? Just baffled me. So a shitty voice and no sense of timing whatsoever. I don't know. But at one point, I don't know if you noticed this. I don't know if you noticed this. I sent it to Obo, so I know that he's going to put a clip of this. Did you notice the shirtless guy that was as big as the two of us in the crowd during Nate's entrance?
I did not for this one, but I have seen him before on previous Nate Webb entrances. So I did not spot him for this one, but I believe that it happened.
Yeah, there was like this guy, and it ended up being like when I paused it to take the picture to show Obo to be like, put this into we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's like right over my shoulder.
Right.
Towards the end of the end, like towards the end of the entrance by Nate Webb. And so then I like went back and I just like tried to notice every time the camera would pick him up, and you could like see him. He's like dancing and he's like playing with the shirt, and then just all of a sudden,
the whole show.
All of a sudden, shirt completely off, and I was like, "Oh, that is not a good sight at all. Not a good sight at all.
Not the titties you were trying to see at the ECW.
Yeah, not the out of all the people that could have done that in the building, that person should not have been the one to do it. But he was really into that Nate Webb entrance, because as soon as the music hit, he started dancing and raising the shirt, and somebody should have stopped him along the way. But I know Obo is going to be playing that clip probably right about now as we're talking about it, and not a good sight. Towards the end, Axel dances with Nate on the entrance. And then they talk Ian into dancing.
Yep.
He does a Michael Jackson dance.
Yes.
Very interesting choice.
No
Very,
splits.
very,
Later on, he
very
would hit the
interesting.
splits.
Very interesting choice. We'll just leave it at that. Obo told me to leave it at that, but
Yes.
well, interesting
It
choice for him to have picked that.
the match, like we mentioned, it gets turned into a Philly street fight. After the match, everyone hits a gusher. Everyone's just bleeding. I guess Pondo and Toby thought, well, we only got 8 minutes or whatever. Let's cut our heads off because or maybe it was an accident. I don't know, but they're bleeding bad. Uh, Afterwards, Ian gets the microphone. He thanks Madman Pondo. Said he'll always have work as long as IWA's around. I don't believe
Womp
that.
womp.
I don't believe that stuck. I don't think that
Yeah,
one took.
that stuck as well as the Balls Mahoney will never work. So we had Balls Mahoney will never work here. Man Pondo will always work here,
Right.
and neither one
No.
neither one played out
They
that
did.
way. Another thing I wanted to point out that I did
Yes.
think was impressive during the intros, Nate Webb spins Pondo's stop sign like a basketball on his finger.
Yeah, it's very
That
like a
was that
like a
was that was
pizza.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that was
Pondo was
kind of.
like, "Give me that."
I was like, well, that was pretty damn impressive. I was impressed with that. Um, and then I had also wrote down during the match that Pondo had like the world's smallest sledgehammer at
Yes.
one point, and like used it to
For
break
the
a cinder
yeah.
block in Ian's crotch.
He has
Uh,
moved on to a sledgehammer nowadays. If you see Man Pondo still doing the damn thing, uh, nowadays the Ian thanks Axel for getting him in the business, yada yada. He thanks Smart Mark Video, and then Pondo grabs the microphone and he thanks Ian, and then Axel starts an Ian chant, and then it's a hell of a rah IWA, to end the segment from Ian of just we're here and whatever. But it was just the perfect combination of everyone just putting over everyone else when nowadays they're either not around or they hate each other.
you know who he didn't thank?
You tell me. You.
Me. He thanked Smart Mark Video for keeping him in business.
Right.
He did not thank me for keeping him in business until Smart Mark Video came around.
Right.
So just pointing that out. Then, for some unknown reason, Nick Maniwa, there was a 25-minute gap in the video.
Yeah, I heard your fast forward button got stuck. I
There
think
was there was just a black screen. I don't know what happened.
this gauntlet match
25 minutes of nothing.
this gauntlet match definitely should have been a four-way instead of a gauntlet match. Again, it's hot as hell in that building. It's late already. People don't care about the IWA World Title match. No offense to any of the people that were in the match, but they were there for Joe and Necro. They wanted to see Joe and Necro. They knew a majority of the fans stuck around for CZW that night. They knew they had to, they're trying to get out, go to Tony Luke's, grab a sandwich, and then come back for CZW. They don't want to be watching technical wrestling. In the IWA World Title match, I think it was like 35 minutes for the thing start to finish. Shave 10 minutes off of that, tighten it up a little bit, and I think we could have really had something. Or again, just make it a four-way where everybody's in there at the same time, and people aren't having to work twice or three times to be in this gauntlet. I guess just twice, but
Or just have it be a three-way
yeah, or you could
and get rid of the garbage.
right. Um, I didn't really have much for this. Jimmy Jacobs is the IWA champion. He's been doing a lot of chicanery to keep the title and stuff of that nature, and this is pretty much some of the same stuff to keep the IWA title. There's powder being used, so much powder. You look like you in Olytic, Indiana, because there is so much powder in the ring, in the atmosphere, on the apron, just
And
all
the
the
ref
powder.
just had to act like you didn't see a
Right.
thing. Um, notes that I had, no telling what's on those missing 25 minutes of the Watergate tape there. Could be anything. Commentary talked way too much about Allison Danger taking off her clothes. Should have been talking about getting her fucking training on how to catch somebody. Um, they did talk about Jimmy Jacobs throwing the bag of Coke onto Chris Hero's face. And again, like you had pointed out, that stuff was everywhere,
Yeah,
just absolutely everywhere. And the ref just had to like walk through a cloud
yeah. There
to
was
get
so
over and
much.
make the 3 count. Yeah, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Which then gets us into the main event of the evening, the match that everybody was there to see. Um, the greatest match that I've ever seen in person. The best start to a match that I've ever seen.
Right.
I thought they started off just perfect. Um, they built, like we mentioned at the beginning, this was just a dream match in the figment of a couple of people's heads on a message board.
Yeah, it was. I
It
think it
got
was.
it got turned into actually having a little bit of story behind it
Yeah,
with like there was like legitimate anger there, wasn't there?
yeah.
Or
So it. I think it was Rob Naylor who said, think about the kind of match that this would be, Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher, and then excuse me, Necro and Pondo wrestled for Chikara's Tag World Grand Prix as the Deathmatch Kings, and one of their first round opponents was Anthony Franco and Matt Turner, who was one of the guys that walked Punk out for his match, the guy that wasn't in the table match. Uh, and Pondo and Necro, I wouldn't say they took advantage, but I mean they, Necro is Necro, especially at this point in '05 and '06. I mean
right.
he's punching the kid, he's booting the kid. I have to watch it back because it's been quite a few years since I've watched it. I again don't think it was a taking advantage situation, but I mean he did bloody the kid's nose. They had welts, but especially us knowing Necro at that point and knowing him since 2000 or whatever it was. Sometimes guys walked out of matches with Necro with bloody noses, or a tooth loose, or a busted lip, or
Well,
that's
and
just how those guys wrestled like that.
right, and like Stan Hansen, Necro was blind as a bat
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
He
ring.
he always wore glasses when he wasn't in the ring, and he couldn't see, and I mean he really beat the shit out of these kids, which then it was like, okay, now we have something. It went from just a match to like, okay, now there's something. And then Joe did an IWA show and cut a promo, talking about like, oh, you hurt my kids, I'm gonna hurt you. You maim my kids, I'm gonna maim you, essentially, because they were Ring of Honor students, and Ring of Honor was his home promotion, and he was a guest trainer there at times, and those were his kids, so he's coming to kick some ass. So that's how the originally, like you said, just a fantasy book thing, which didn't really happen a shit ton in those times. Now, everybody has a dream match and everybody has a, whatever. But back in those days, especially mixing someone like Necro Butcher and someone like Samoa Joe, you didn't see that too often. And no other place, Ring of Honor's not going to do it. Necro was in CZW and Japan; they're not going to do it. So what other place is going to do it except for IWA Mid South?
Right. And like I don't know if I don't know if Dark Side of the Ring will get into this portion of it,
Right.
but I know from my experience being there that day, I know the death match guys leading up to the match, because I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of them on the show there at the arena, but I know the corporals, the Mitches, the hardcore guys were putting the earworms into Necro's head, like Joe's going to try to embarrass you. He's going to try to embarrass deathmatch wrestlers.
Don't let
He's
him
going to try
punk
to
you
show,
out.
don't let him punch you out. You're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to,
Especially people like me, Mitch Page, and Olin, and all those sons of
right.
bitches that
The
stir.
instigators, the stirrers of the pot. And,
Yeah.
they were not, Necro, do not let him do this. Don't,
Right.
you got to defend you're fighting for our honor. You're defending us. This is us. And then I know Punk and all those guys were doing the same thing into Joe's
The
ear,
other
going,
way.
he's going to take liberties. He's going to try to shoot on you. He's going to try to like maim you he's going to try to cut you up. He's going to try to make you look bad. You're the king. And so both guys getting just
Oh yeah.
hyped up to fever pitch before they go out there, with what to expect and what the other, what the other guy's going to do. And like,
Yep.
they were ready to run through brick walls when
Oh
they
yeah.
went out there.
But I mean,
And
they, as crazy and insane, and the bloodletting and all that stuff in that match, they're still being pros about it. They're still, it's not a shoot fight by any means. They're still working together. They're still, and for a match like this, a match with, this backstory and all this history and this lore, like imagine if they just went in there and they were just, not cooperate, not, as much as it looked like that they weren't, you know what I mean? Like
right,
imagine if they really weren't, like it would have been over in, 3 minutes.
right,
Somebody would have got knocked out. But just a perfect mix of like, well, what's going on? Is this real? Is this,
right. But even the guys weren't sure.
Right.
Even the guys weren't sure because every single person was up in that damn eagle's nest.
Yeah.
Every person
Yeah,
was
you
like,
can.
I have to make sure that I see this because anything could happen.
Right.
Anything could happen.
There was a shit ton in the where the commentary was, and then I was over like above the concession stand area. I have a 3X yellow Boz Rule shirt. So when they're fighting in the crowd right there, you can see me up there like jumping up and down and reacting to seeing this match. Like you said, probably the craziest, the best match you've ever seen live. Probably the same for me. Like just incredible to be in that building. Like if you could bottle up that energy and just carry it around and take a little sip of it when you need a pep,
Oh,
you could be a billionaire. Because I mean that was just so, like, the crowd was buzzing. I don't even
yeah,
know how else to put it, like just buzzing, and just like they knew they were seeing something special. They knew they were seeing like history being made. Like this is, no one else is doing stuff like this. Only
right,
the 420 booking of Ian Rotten is bringing this to my fucking eyes.
right. And like say the right from the very beginning, I mean, they go nose to nose and they're in each other's face. Poor Bryce Remsburg, trying to do the job of a referee, and Necro just ragdolls him across the ring, and like he gets right back up and comes back over, and then Joe's like, nope, get the fuck
Whoop.
out of here, like right
Yeah.
over the ropes, and then
Yep.
the forearms start coming, and it's just an absolute slugfest,
Yeah.
beating the piss out of each other with those forearms. They go out onto the floor and start
Yes.
slugging out on the floor again.
Kicks to the chest
Kicks,
and chairs, and the first slam to the forehead
right.
happens.
Now, was it just like the floor? Like that floor is so slippery because of how hot and humid
Yeah.
it is.
Hot and sticky, and
And
I think he just kind of, he
yeah,
didn't
I
make a
think I
full
think Joe
rotation.
just yeah, I think his feet maybe went out from under him as he's trying to do the power slam, and Necro recreates the Mickey spot from the dive,
Right.
and just splats face first into the concrete, and the blood's coming immediately,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, with that. And like Kingston is just laughing on
Yeah.
commentary. He
They're
can't even
having
talk. He
They're
can't even
having
talk.
a grand old time on commentary. Punk screaming, losing his mind. Prazak. There's a commentary shout out for Rob Naylor, who was the first one to put this on the internet, this match idea, and he was not even in attendance for that show. I looked back at his old tweets and it said he thinks he had car trouble or something. He missed like Hardcore Homecoming the night before at the ECW arena. He missed Joe and Necro, and then he missed One Night Stand because his car was like broke down or something. He was like, "What a freaking
Wow.
weekend to miss!" So he was not there despite all the shout outs on
Yeah, all the
commentary.
shout outs and name
Uh,
drops.
Necro was fresh off a Japan tour that they mentioned
Yep.
uh on commentary, but the Japan tour was from March 28th to June 8th. So like dude was over in Japan for a while and straight off the plane and straight into Necro versus Joe. Like that's crazy, man.
Right. Um, and around this time, they go and get the barricade.
Yes, yes.
They take the barricade. They put the barricade into the ring. Um, Necro puts the barricade onto Samoa Joe
Yes.
and then goes for a senton. And the blind bastard somehow completely misses the barricade
Yeah.
and lands directly on Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe did not like that.
No, he did not.
Did
He did
not
not.
like that at all. Um, and they just it like somehow went to another level after that.
Yeah, because the exploder suplex comes after that. They get to the apron,
Right.
and I think the exploder, Necro doesn't let go of that top rope, and that's what caused the momentum shift in that because, he hangs onto that top rope, and that forces Joe to turn it, basically into a flatliner instead of a exploder suplex. Necro almost died on the off the apron. I don't know if the exploder suplex would have been better or worse for him. Uh,
But the part
at least maybe it wouldn't have been as.
but one of the parts before that, when they're just on the
Yes,
apron, Necro hauls
yes,
off and drills Joe right in the mouth with a straight right
yeah,
hand, you know, and that was when, like, after the, like, because Joe was already pissed about the senton, and you could tell when he got up after the senton that he was pissed, and they took it to the apron, and when Necro punches him in the face, that was when Joe said "fuck you," grabbed him for
right,
that
right.
exploder, and I think like how you mentioned, like Necro does. I think Necro realized as soon as he punched him in the jaw,
Yeah,
and
here comes a
he
receipt.
was like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and maybe that was
Right.
why he like held on a little
Yeah,
too much. And but yeah, exploder onto the floor right on top of his damn head, and blood is just
oh yeah,
squirting everywhere
oh
at
yeah,
that point. Um,
and it is
like
bright
afterwards,
red.
they show like 8 different replays
Yep, yep,
of that after the match. It was so brutal. That might be one of, off the top of my head, I don't know of a more brutal spot
yes,
that I saw in my time of IWA than that one. And you just start, and at that point, I remember as it's happening live, at that point, I'm sitting there going, one of these guys is going to die.
right.
And I was pretty sure it was going to be Necro
Yeah,
because Joe wasn't taking,
he was covered in blood. It was Necro's
it was
blood.
Necro's blood that he took. He would take handfuls of Necro's blood and then just smear it. And I
Right,
was
right.
like, that was a choice.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I would have been doing that with Necro's blood. Um,
Allegedly.
allegedly, but I'm not saying the man had, but it's just, I don't know if I would be just freely rubbing that all over my body,
Right,
but
right.
Joe was taking it as a trophy.
Yes.
Um, and they come back into the ring, and Necro ends up getting power bombed onto that barricade.
Yes. As it's on the second rope.
Yeah, bridging between the ropes in
Yes.
the corner, He gets power bombed onto that barricade. He gets German suplexed into an open chair.
Yes.
And I'm just like, how is he not dead?
Right.
How is he
Per,
not
per, per,
dead at
perhaps
this point?
perhaps those are the reasons for why things
I've
are.
got that written down. I've got it written. It's almost like I'm picturing a scene out of Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail, and he's like, "'Tis but a flesh wound. I'm
Right,
not
right.
dead yet," and you know, but it definitely he may not have died, but I think it definitely he's not physically dead, but he's definitely brain dead. After this point, and just unbelievable. And then they get into the final
Yes.
flurry of the
Blurry.
finish.
Yep. Yep.
So I have this written down, Nick Maniwa. How much money would
Yes.
it take for you to let Samoa Joe do those palm thrusts to your face and
Yes.
then the knee lifts to your face that he did to Necro to knock him out?
I mean, I would have to be a trillionaire at the end of it because I mean, he's the slaps just and the blood's
those
flying.
those the blood the just and when the replays afterwards when they do it in the slow mo,
Yeah.
just disgusting
Yes.
watching the blood just go, you
Right.
know, because they almost do like it's like the montage in one of the Rocky movies, where he's getting punched and he's spitting the blood out of his mouth, and he's just Paul just
Yeah.
it blood every like just
Excuse me.
disgusting, brutal. What? Yeah, I don't know if it would take a trillion. I might take a little less than a
Right.
trillion, but yeah, I mean, it would have to be so much goddamn money because I would have to spend so much time in the hospital. I'd
Right.
have to
Right.
spend so much time recovering that there's just it would have to be just such a ridiculous amount of money
Yeah.
to take that. And Necro was back up to his like he was to his feet by the 10.5 count.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know,
He
it,
got
it
back
was it
up.
was it was barely a knockout, and just absolutely crazy. You could just the replays is like one of the greatest matches
Mm-hmm.
of all time. Just doing the
Yeah, if you
replay.
don't want to watch, if you don't have time to watch this classic, just go to the YouTube video and skip to the last 5 minutes or so and just watch the
Just
replays of all
just
the.
watch the replays.
After the match, Ian gets on. I'm gonna have the rematch in IWA, and the fans start chanting here, here, here. The rematch happens January 12th, 2006 in Midlow. And that's the only two singles matches that they ever had with each other. The rest is like multi-man Ring of Honor matches, like six mans, the Cage of Death, stuff like that. So they only had singles matches at IWA Mid South.
Okay, I had thought that Ring of Honor ran it after
No,
we did.
I think Joe had already. By the time Necro got in there seriously, he was already
Okay.
in TNA and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I had thought for sure that because I know like we were the first ones to do Samoa Joe Roderick. We were the first ones to do Samoa Joe Austin Aries.
Yep.
And then once that saw how good the matches were there, then it was like, oh well, I'm gonna put these on my shows, and then we'll make sure that we go and tell people that, don't go into my dressing room. Don't go into my dressing room 14,000 times. Um, but
A strong Samoa Joe promo to end the show. Basically saying like anytime we wrestle, I'm gonna fuck you up, man. I bathe in your blood, and I'm gonna do that every single time. some of the reviews that I read was like, oh, this was kind of like a one match show, but I thought the show was pretty good. Uh, I think a strong showing of everything that we offer at IWA. I definitely think the some of the matches could have shaved some time off of it and made it a tighter, more flowing show. But I thought everything, for us at that time, that's what we were doing. I thought that was a good representation of IWA Mid South, at least in my opinion.
It was definitely a representation of what we were doing. I think none of the other matches would be worthy of go out of your way to watch just that one match
Right,
kind of thing. Maybe the 6-man tag because it had some insane stuff to it, and it was a car wreck
right,
mentality. You know, it was on a much lesser scale. It was along the same lines of a spectacle as
right.
Joe Necro was. Um, but it's just Joe Necro was such a perfect storm
Yeah,
and overshadows everything else
right,
so much. And the fact that the crowd was specifically there for that one match, it made you know, their attention wasn't devoted to the other stuff,
right,
so without having that without having that crowd participation kind of thing that is because they were saving up all that energy for that main event.
right,
um so yeah, I mean, it was not it was not a fantastic show top to bottom, at least for me watching it back. um but yeah, I wouldn't call it just a one match show.
right,
That's a bit harsh on it, but it it definitely it definitely wouldn't have been the spectacle that ended up being without that main event attached
right.
to it. So I can see why some people would maybe grade it that way, but
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. There was a I mean, you could definitely could skip Punk Homicide because there was nothing worthwhile really to that. Um, maybe just watch the middle of the gauntlet tag. you know, for the most part, Tracy Claudio was, for what it was, that was about as good as you're going to get with that style of a match.
right,
Probably, I mean, you'd be disappointed if you see what Claudio's capable of now,
right.
and he didn't really do that in that match. But I mean, if you're a Tracy Smothers fan, you got the full experience out of that match.
Oh yeah,
Um, that probably would have been that probably would have been my second favorite match on the show.
right.
Was that one, but overall, it was definitely a show that got us a lot of buzz, a lot of
Yeah,
eyeballs. So it proved what it needed to prove and
yeah.
did what it needed to do. Um, did lead to a second show there at the ECW arena. How much longer
I think it was in '07, so 2 years later.
was it? That
And
far
it
into the
was
future?
like it was like a weird. I didn't go to the show, and I don't even know if I've ever watched it. But like a bunch of California guys, he flew in for it and stuff. It was just kind of a weird mix of talent. I think the main event or one of the matches was Toby and Necro against Loki and Hernandez, or maybe Homicide and Hernandez, or maybe Loki and Homicide. A mix of that uh
Yeah,
combination. Uh, yeah, I don't really have too much after that show. I did get to meet Stevie Richards at the ECW arena. He was like, obviously in town because he was doing one night stand and the next night and just hanging out. And uh, he was like talking to Punk, and I like interrupted him to shake his hand and meet him because I was a big Stevie Richards fan.
Okay.
I don't have any photos from that show, and I definitely had a digital camera at the time, so I don't know. I don't know why I didn't take photos.
I took a photo. I know I took a photo with Kingston,
Okay,
and I think I took a photo with BJ, but that might have been the only photos I took there.
right. But like I was like when I was in that balcony, I was sitting right above like the Rocco Rock like Hall of Fame banner thing, and I was like, man, if I could go back in time and like have someone be on the floor and take a picture, of me, with the Rocco
Right.
Rock thing, but yeah, I don't really have, we walked in the building, we walked in that back door that everyone walked in, and it's a totally different venue now. It doesn't even look even remotely the same as it, had already been renovated to at that point, but it's just a shithole of a building. Just a flat building, floors like you said got hot and sticky during the show and people are slipping and sliding and the just a good old ECW arena, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the venue has holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Right.
My opinion was stated in the promo.
Right, right. Yeah,
So
I'm hoping
I had
GCW
no
goes back to the arena.
I had no interest in going to that
Right,
second
right.
one.
Yeah, I'm hoping GCW goes back so I can go and at least call a match in the ECW arena. That was my goal for this past arena show, and it did not work out that way. So hopefully a return visit happens, and I can jump in somebody's car to get out there. Just to, I think it's cool to have matches called in the Hammerstein and the ECW arena if I can, check it off the bucket list.
Well, hopefully that works for you. You plant the seeds.
Right.
You've got Cincinnati and Indianapolis coming up,
Yep,
correct?
the 19th, the 20th, Cincinnati and Indy. I don't know any matches or anything yet, but anytime they're within 2 or 3 hours, I just tell Brett like, "Hey, man, I'm coming." And usually I end up on commentary at least for the majority of the show or sometimes the whole show. So looking forward to that. This will go out on the 5th. So that means I will have a show on the 6th for Larry D in Cynthiana, Kentucky at Maiden City Brewing Company. You can check out the social medias of Generation X Pro Wrestling for that. Uh, on the 13th, I think it's the 13th, whatever the next. Yeah, the 13th, I'm booked in Bloomington, Indiana for Rival Showdown Pro Wrestling. They are also on IWTV. If you haven't checked out a show, I've done I think 2 shows with them. The last show I was supposed to do with them, my car was acting funny before we got to the bridge of Indiana, so I had to cancel on the way to the show because I was like, "Hey, man, my car is giving me a lot of trouble. Like, I'm not risking it and getting stuck on the back roads of Bloomington, Indiana."
Yeah, and
Especially with the kids in the car.
there's no like direct way to get there.
Right, right, right.
Um,
So, yeah, I will be back in Bloomington on the 13th, and then, like you said, uh, GCW on the 19th and 20th. I believe I have House of Heat Pro Wrestling on the 27th. I have Grindhouse somewhere in here. I think Grindhouse is the 21st, maybe, or no, maybe the 1, 2,
would it
yeah,
be
the
the
28th.
28th?
Yeah, the 28th for Grindhouse, and then, House of Heat before that. My June's like super busy, so I have a little poster on my Instagram if you want to see everywhere I will be. I have like a Thursday Generation X Pro show on the 25th with Larry D wrestling the NWA World's Champion Silas Mason at a fair show for Generation X Pro Wrestling. I think Jake Christ is on the show, and it's kind of a bigger show for Gen X. So Definitely check out their social media for that. It's not too often get to see the NWA World Champion live and in your town or in your state. So definitely come out and see that. It's always a pleasure. I'm a Silas Mason guy. I was a Silas Mason guy before he was the NWA champ, and then my friend won the NWA title. So then I got to get a picture with him with the NWA World title. So that's
Nice.
always cool. I
Cool.
didn't even have to book him. I got to go to someone else's show and get the picture for free.
Nice. It works out great. And it's a snazzy hat you got on there.
Yes, my Papa Manawa. You see that? Well, it's all
Yeah, a
blurry
little
now.
blurry.
Oh, there we go.
There
There
it
we go.
is. There it
I
is.
gotta put
There
it
it
in
is.
front of my face. So,
Yeah.
Papa Manawa hats. I'm selling these at every show that I'm at, and then if you want to get it shipped, we can figure out something there. I haven't bought any boxes yet. I've been lazy, but I gotta send Mike Ruff one, so I gotta get all that stuff together. My wife Jess Beesneys just recently did Girl Fight Wrestling this past Sunday in New Albany, Indiana. That will be on IWTV in the very near future. So definitely check that out. They already announced that on August 16th there will be a title tournament to crown a new Girl Fight Wrestling women's or Girl Fight Wrestling heavyweight champion. Billy Starks has relinquished the title and wants to focus more on the booking and management of Girl Fight Wrestling. Doesn't want to be an in-ring competitor. Wants to focus more on the other stuff. So she has relinquished the title. So we need a new champion. So August 16th. And, Billy Starks, AEW superstar, Ring of Honor superstar, she has some connections, let me tell you. So definitely keep your eyes on Girl Fight social media. I don't really have anything. I mean, we just did a podcast together. What, 3 weeks ago at this point? 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, a month ago. So I
Right.
don't really have that ended. That started with two other people and then ended with just me and you. So
Right.
I don't really have anything too crazy. I mean, I have stuff all the way to December of this year, and then I already have a full calendar of House of Heat dates for next year, starting in March. So
Wow.
if you would like to have me in your town, hit me up. If you want post commentary, hit me up. If you want to just give me money, hit me up. And we have stickers, we have these hats. Like I said, Jess has 8x10s. If you want an 8x10 of Jess Bee's knees, hit us up and we can make that happen.
Nice. Nice. Definitely reach out, guys, and book the Manawas. Um, Jess and Just Jay are doing commentary. It doesn't have to just be a all women's show.
Right, right.
Bring them in, and uh, you guys open to a 3-person booth.
I mean, we could. I'm not really a fan of 3-man booths or 3-person booths, but I mean, if that was the
If the
case,
deal is right,
if the deal was right,
or you can free bird rule it, and just every
right,
match is a
switch in and
different
out.
twosome,
Right,
and
right, true.
you could tag out for one of the matches. Be like, all right, I need to stretch, need to
Right, right.
give the vocal cords a break. It could be a quite the tandem. But this is going to wrap up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks. I'd like to thank Nick Maniwa for joining me and bailing me out today. Remember to check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/sportsfannin for IWA clips and matches and the audio to these podcasts. When you get to the YouTube channel, start by hitting subscribe, look around, like some videos, leave some comments, pump me up in that algorithm. But more importantly, if you have a subscription to IWTV, Independent Wrestling Television, ran by Smart Mark Video, please go watch the podcast there. Put a little bit of money into Nick, Prophet of Ash, and my pockets by watching us. And if you aren't subscribed to IWTV yet, please do so. It's cheaper than Netflix, and the wrestling's a hell of a lot better on IWTV. Most of the best indies in the world are on IWTV. You can watch some old IWA shows that Ian didn't know got put up. Maybe one of these days, uh, dumbass business decisions will stop being made, and more of the catalog will be available. But there's also tons of current promotions, live streams, on demand, can go back and watch old episodes of all kind or old shows of all kinds of companies on there. So go give IWTV a subscription and try it out. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jfannin73. My next show is Friday night, June the 12th in Chicago for Bloodstone Wrestling. One half of the Rejects, John Wayne Murdoch, will be joining the Fannin family. So we take on Anakin Murphy with his manager, Davina Thorne. They are down to only standing room only tickets left at nostalgiagland.com for that show. It'll be the first time that I'll be on a show that has reached standing room only. So that'll be a very nice change of pace.
Is it streaming?
They said that it'll be on YouTube. I don't know if it's
Okay.
streaming live
Gotcha.
or if they put it up after the fact,
Gotcha.
but it will be available on YouTube at some point. So evidently they don't have an IWTV deal.
Right.
So it'll be on the Bloodstone Wrestling YouTube. We'll eventually have it up. But if you're in that Chicagoland area, get your standing room only tickets while you can for that show. After that, it's June the 20th. I will also be in Indianapolis, but for Wrestle Arts with Trick Davis.
Yes.
Maybe we'll come visit you. The Wrestle Arts show is in the afternoon before the GCW show, so we might just swing by and say hello to you. You have House of Heat on the 27th. I have Pawcade on the 27th, where it'll be the Rejects, the Tandem, both Reed and John, going against Sean Ross Sapp and Steve exclamation point.
Yes.
Still
Not
hard
Dr.
for me
Death.
to say it that way. Not Dr. Death. It's Steve. Also managing Trick Davis on that show.
He's wrestling Daniel Starling, who is a fantastic pro wrestler from the state of Florida. So that's going to be a wrestling clinic, to say the very least. I'm excited to watch that one back.
Okay. And we do not have anything the next day after that. So those are the 3 shows I have for June. There's a Wrestle Arts at the end of July. So let's fill in that calendar. Connor Hopkins, Trick Davis, Mickie Knuckles, the Rejects are the current official members of the Fannin family. We're ready for bookings, so reach out and let's do business. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Fannin's Flashbacks. So let it be written, so let it be done. Good day.